Alright, it's 7 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and call to order the December 13th meeting of the Calhoun County Rural Fire Commission. We do have a quorum. Ross, can you go ahead and read the meetings for the last, the minutes for the last meeting?
Absolutely. So October 11th, 2022, Calhoun County Rural Fire District Commission meeting minutes. Scott Pate called the meeting to order. A quorum was noted. Present were Commissioner Scott Pate, myself, Nick Stabler, Carolyn Sandlin, Coordinator Jeff Price, the Sandy Run News, and several members of the public. The September meeting minutes were read and approved. Jeff presented the finance report. I gave the training report. Under old business, the EOC software was discussed, and Jeff was due to talk with the rep Wednesday morning. Nick brought up fund balance issues from the past. Jeff explained this issue for all present. The issue stemmed from a past employee mistake and had not yet been resolved because of the time it took to replace this employee with a permanent employee. The current audit would have to be complete as well. Jeff stated that he would have the finance director present at the next meeting to address this for the commission. The door openers were discussed. Preston Station doors would proceed. Belleville doors would be put on hold due to calls. Under new business, the firefighter physicals were to be looked into to see if a replacement for North Greenville could be found. Nick Stabler brought up issues with an EMS employee and requested a chief's meeting with EMS and HR. This meeting has been set for that Thursday, and the meeting was adjourned.
Are there any additions, deletions to the meetings as read?
No, I move that we accept those minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
We've got a motion to accept the meetings, October 11th commission meetings as read. All those in favor? No? The October 11 commission meetings stand approved. Finance report.
We'll start with line item 3120, insurance. That's all the court, building, auto liability, workers' comp. We budgeted $70,000. We spent all of it except $14,832.23. All of our insurance should be paid up for the year. So that'll be a plus for us. Professional services, 3309, management consultant. That's what we pay for firefighter physicals out of. 1, 2, 3 departments have been, 4 departments have had their physicals. I haven't got anything from North Greenville Fitness on call and Jumper. So we're in good shape there. Belleville will come February or March. Radio contracts, we're still looking good there. Pole post testing, we're in good shape there. We've got the SCBA flow tests have been done for all county air packs. That has been paid. We're still in good shape there. Vehicles, repair and maintenance under vehicles. Mike Piggins is up to date on all vehicle maintenance for the year. We have a surplus there. I think the only thing he may need to look at, and I'll get with Nick, is Rescue 7, because it wasn't in the stations when we done it. Figure out what we need to do with it. Equipment maintenance, we still got $18,000 there. Building maintenance, we're down to $26,4821. We've had some issues with some door openers, motors, springs breaking, cables coming off to get repaired. Telephone services, my telephone, we're still in good shape there. Other, we've got $22,028 left. This is a line item I pay for some of the truck repairs, that type stuff out of. Transportation, nobody's turned in a fuel bill for transportation. Subsistence, we're still good there. been paying, class fees out of it, fire academy. We spent nothing on, recruitment and retention so far this year. Office supplies for my office and my uniforms, we still got 55 left out of 5,000 there. Gasoline, that's for my truck, the annual budget was 5,000, we still got 31, 33, 32 left. The stations, Cameron and St. Matthews on the contract. The, quarterly reports, they'll be due next meeting, if y'all remember, to bring those. When you get y'all paid out of those, we're in good shape there. Machinery and equipment, we spent nothing out of that yet. Miscellaneous equipment, we've paid for, different items there, plus I'm using that one to upfit the county truck, the new county truck. We're still in good shape there. Local grant match, probably won't use that this year, but we'll definitely be using that next year. Unless they make a miracle happen and Randy gets his truck within the next 2 months. So, overall, 50% of the year is lapsed, and we have not spent nowhere near 50% of the budget. It should tell me on that somewhere here, but I don't see it. The budget was $772,493. We still have $541,749.09 available.
Looks like we just spent 30% of it, if that's right on here.
Mm-hmm. But that, when they start paying lost fund money, comes in from the county, and we start paying St. Matthews and Cameron and more of these, that's gonna decrease quickly.
Which stations still have to do their physical?
Belleville, I think a couple people from Calhoun is gonna have to do it. Belleville and St. Matthews do theirs together.
Right.
And we'll put it out and we'll invite anybody that needs a physical done to
Is
participate at that point.
Is North Greenville still gonna try and do it?
I'm trying to set up an appointment now with North Greenville Fitness. The other company that we use for Fort Mott and Cameron, if you're gonna have 20 people show up for the physical, they charge you for 20.
Hmm.
If they do 18, they charge you for 20.
Right, so they got a 20-person minimum.
North Greenville Fitness does it. Talking with Greg Salmon, the chief at St. Matthews, he did his through Fort Mott because it was due at the time. And he said North Greenville's blood work is a whole lot more involved than what the other company did.
So we'd prefer to have North Greenville do it. All right, training report.
Ross, can you give that?
Sure. As far as county training goes, not sure in regards to Sandy Run, I believe they just had an auto extrication class. I can't speak on that though. Last fire academy class completed, was put on at St. Matthews. There was a hazmat operations class. Just trying to get some of these younger firefighters ready for the hybrid Fire 1 class coming up. Still waiting for dates for that 1156 class. As soon as I have dates, Corey Sandifer from St. Matthews is going to be teaching the class. As soon as he has dates for us, he'll push that information out to me and Jeff, and then to the rest of our training officers to get these guys signed up for the class. So there is a Class E driver exam through the South Carolina Fire Academy on January 29th. It'll be at St. Matthews Fire Department. So they've Fire Academy's already sent an instructor down to plan a route out. They have to have a certain route for this driver examination, just like you would a DOT driver examination.
That day again?
January 29th. It's a Saturday. It'll be 8 a.m. until completion. Requirements for this, you have to have your Class C driver permit from the DMV. So you have to go to the DMV, take the computer test to get your permit. You have to have your permit within 30 days, before 30 days of the start date of the class. Alright, so if the class is January 29th, December 29th is your cutoff to get your permit. Also, you have to have a 3-year driving record that was printed within 30 days of the test date. As long as you've got both those requirements, you'll sign up for the class. If you need the link for it, let me know, and I'll make sure you get the link to sign up. Come and take the driving test with the Fire Academy instructor. After you complete or don't complete the test, you'll get the appropriate paperwork to take back to the DMV. They'll sign it off, and then your Class C permit will become a Class C license. We're encouraging everybody to do this. They're trying to phase out people driving these fire apparatus with their regular license and trying to slowly implement that everybody's required to have a Class C to drive the fire truck. So the sooner we can all get that and move forward, the better. I see the burn building is later on. I'm sure Jeff will talk more about that. I know the concrete's poured, but that's all I got for the training report.
Thank you, Rob. Update on ordinances.
John, Rick? For those of y'all, we've got a first workings of the update. There's some in the back, there's a few here on the table if anybody wants one.
So just to bring everybody up to speed, we had first reading by title only on the agenda last night. It was tabled to the January 9th meeting, so it wasn't read. Several months ago, council had come to administration and wanted to look at all of the boards and commissions across the county, from planning commission to fire commission, historical museum commission, all of that, and asked us to look at that. And so roughly, I think about 2 weeks ago, we had a work session with council, with all 5 council members, myself, the county attorney, and John had a meeting, and this is kind of what came out of the meeting and what they directed us to look at and move forward to. So the intent was to have a first reading by title only, and we've been looking at some kind of draft language to present. That's what you've got here tonight. It's kind of a first stab of what's been done in other jurisdictions that have gone through this. I think this one actually is from, the language is modeled after Florence counties. We looked at Florence, Spartanburg, Dorchester, Colleton, a few of the other ones that have gone through, going to a fire advisory board. What council and looked at and we discussed was taking all the knowledge that we've got with our fire commissions and our volunteer firefighters that is so vital to what the county does and how we proceed, and trying to integrate that into moving us forward into the future. The time where we can ask our volunteers to step away from their day-to-day jobs in an 8 to 5 is coming to an end, and we need to supplement that with paid staff, and this is the way we get there. This will be to make the board an advisory board, make the actual fire district, the department of the county, the county fire district, create a countywide fire district with 2 boards, a standing run board and a rural fire district board, in the short term, and eventually hopefully move to where it's a 1 board across the whole county. Right now, we've got a split system of funding. You're very well aware of. We have a fire fee part of the county, and then Sandy Run Fire District has a millage. That unfortunately is capped and kind of hampers what they can do and the funding they can get. And then, of course, we have lost funds that also support fire operations. So the initial thought and the request for feedback would be that we have a fire coordinator already. We have a need for a fire marshal. I'm also the building official for the county, so I deal with the construction standards and the codes. We need a full-time fire marshal countywide to do that. We rely on part-time for fire marshal, plan reviews, things like that, which we have our plan reviews all done by Safe Built. It's a third-party inspection agency that does all of our plan reviews for us. So we have a fire coordinator, a fire marshal. We like to at least start off with 2 paid firemen for the county, Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, to kind of supplement those initial first call out. Those guys will be assigned to where they need to be. Ultimately, you'd really probably like to see, 2 guys to be able to rotate around in the upper end of the county and 2 guys in the lower end of the county. And so that'll have to be built into looking at a millage, countywide millage, figuring out all the different revenue streams and getting where we come to and understand what that needs to be. And that process is gonna take time, and that'll be separate from this process here. So in the short term, with initial conversations with the attorneys that deal with the tax millage and things like that, it can be done. You can impose a countywide tax millage. The Sandy Run millage would go away, the fire fee would go away, but that's gonna be tied to a budget ordinance, an annual, a fiscal year. So the very earliest something like that can be looked at would be in July of 2023. You've got the kind of model or template, if you will, in front of you. I don't know that we need to sit and read every line of it tonight. You can take it back, look at it, comments, additions, deletions, things like that. Some of the highlights are, it would consolidate procurement and purchasing to follow the existing county procurement code, which we already are supposed to be doing anyway. Looking at with the fire advisory board in this case to look at coming together and adopting countywide operations plans, standardizing equipment, SCBA's, all the different, rescue equipment, all of that, making sure there's standards, same across the entire county. So if a Fort Mott firefighter is in Sandy Run, it's the exact same equipment, trained on the exact same thing, centralizing training across the county, making sure everybody's on the same page training-wise. The board, if you get to page 3, kind of gets into the meat of the board's duties and responsibilities that we've looked at from some of the other ordinances. Development of standard operating procedures, guidelines, trading standards, fire inspection programs and prevention programs, building assessment, equipment assessment, manpower, strategic planning to deliver fire and rescue services in the fire district, advise on all operational aspects in the county, and other duties related to operating the fire departments. You'll see that we're working on scheduling a meeting with the Sandy Run Fire Commission as well. We haven't gotten the input from the makeup of their board. We're familiar with the makeup of our board and with the number of board members. So there's a lot more data in there, but that kind of hits the highlights there. And so something for you to take a look at and give us feedback on. Council, to my knowledge, and I think we've got at the fire committee, council member Mr. Carson's here tonight. The intent is for us to come back to them, get feedback, and move forward in January.
Richard, can I ask why does no one in our current fire service, including all the people that you say are so valuable and whose experience is so valuable, why did no one know about any of this until the agenda came out? Why wasn't anyone consulted? Why wasn't anyone asked for help on this?
Well, so we met with council, and council asked us to look at this, and I think the intent was to get with the fire commission and get the feedback before it went, and timing just didn't work out.
completely changes the way the fire service is run in this county, and putting it under the administrator of this county, which is, it hasn't been done that way, in my experience, at least in the last 10 years. So, I mean, this is not something that me personally, I would just rubber stamp this whole thing and say, that sounds great, guys. I think that we need, to create some kind of way to bring out these fire chiefs who were involved with the formation of the setup as it is now, to involve them, bring them to the table in making these decisions. I'm not saying this on my behalf, I haven't been involved in this as long as my chief Randy Coleman's been involved in this, but he helped set up this thing. You know, and to make all these, you know, to make these ordinances without even consulting anyone who's even been in the fire service, which it sounds like that's what was done, I mean, the committees, people that you talked about who came up with this, none of them are even firefighters that I know of.
Well, actually, the people that wrote it are firefighters. We didn't pull this out of the blue. This is a model that's been done. And I don't think that council intends to ignore the advice or what comes from the fire chiefs and the fire districts. And like I said, this was a first reading by title only, and then, which is what council asked of us. So this is a council question. I'm not here to speak on behalf of council. But the intent is to move forward in coordination with all of that moving forward. And,
Well,
and coming
it
to
hasn't
this.
felt that way. The fact that we feel that, I mean, I feel that this is kind of sprung on us almost in a secretive manner, and which I'm not real happy about. And I think it should have been handled differently, because I think that all of us want what's best for the county in terms of fire service and fire protection. And I don't think it needs to be done, this needs to be done in any kind of clandestine manner. I think that the experience of our volunteers should be brought to, you know, to bear on the situation. Let them have some input on how their department is gonna be run.
I can't speak to council, but I feel certain that that's the intent. And operationally, from what I've gathered from council, the day-to-day operations on how an individual department runs is not going to see a huge change. This is an upper-level management. It's what I've gathered from council. But once again, I don't want to speak on behalf of council either.
I agree with Caroline 100%. This thing is just kind of sprung on us. In fact, the other morning, I got a phone call, and the man asked me if I read the agenda, and I said, no, I have not. And he said, you better sit down. And he told me that. You know, we in this county, we've worked long and hard to put a lot of hours in to come where we are right now. Most of this county was a class 9, and it became a class 9 when we first formed, because we got a class A pump in the station. That brought us to 9. We have worked hard to bring these all stations except for St. Matthews as a class 4. I'm sorry, we are class 5, St. Matthews is a class 4. It's just, you know, with us not being, not doing anything about this, that bothers me a lot, and I think it's gonna put a big division in this fire service. So I would like to, I think Richard's here, if he could comment on this, is to give us a little insight from the county side.
Yeah, I don't mind.
County council.
I'll speak to it for a little bit that I do know. Was in a meeting, and what we're trying to do is get everything under the county, and the particular boards that's involved is going to still be on the boards. Okay? It's not taking any of you away, your positions away. It's really turning into advising and telling us what needs to happen. I'll give you an example, something that just popped up. I think 2 fire departments put in for grants. I didn't know anything about them. It might have been before my time coming on board, because I am very new to this, and I am learning as I go. But Randy, Fort Mott got awarded for a fire truck, put in for it. Belleville got turned down. Well, what Randy got approved for from the grant is not going to be enough to buy a fire truck today. And so for us not knowing what's going on from a financial perspective and coming up, we're gonna lose $300,000 on a grant to come up with another $100,000 for a fire truck. That's kind of where we're at, advising us on what needs to happen from a perspective, from a procurement perspective going forward. That's where the procurement side really comes in. Y'all are experts in the field. I am not. It has nothing to do with taking your authority away as far as telling us what needs to be done. That's what we want. But we just need to be open about it. And I'll be the first to tell you, I apologize for the way that it went down. Because you were supposed to be notified ahead of time. Y'all 5 were. Because I was be a phone call, but the issue was, to be quite honest with you, was getting communication with one and not all of it at the same time, because you got in touch with one of you, then there was no need to make another foreign calls to the rest of you, because it had been already made before you got in touch with them possibly. So, I'm not gonna take the blunt for that, but we should have gotten in touch with you. It was a learning. I'll look at you straight, and all 4 of y'all sitting up there was learning. But it's not to take any of your seats away from you. None. It's not to take your authority away. It's telling us what to do. On advising us on what needs to happen for the county to take it to the next level. That's realistically what it is. You know, and there's some other things I'd be glad to talk to you about later on, but I'm on top of the whole meeting talking about it realistically as it comes forward. I mean, I don't want to lose any of you. None of you. That's not what this is about. This is really advising us on what needs to happen to get the county to the next level, from the 5 to the 4. You know, on the burning tower right there with the pads being poured. What do you want later on? We got what we're going to get now, but where's the 5-year strategic plan or where we can get further? What do you want further down the road, and what can we do? How can we budget the money for later? That's kind of where we're at as far as moving forward. I'm here to help y'all. I'm not here to run anything for any of you. I'll look at you straight in the face, each one of you, and tell you that. That's not what my intentions are at all. 0. None. I'm here to help you the best I can. I am learning. I'm new to this. And I'd be glad to talk to you about it one-on-one or whatever, and you come back, because I've got a lot to learn. So I'll leave it at that. But we're here to, you're here to advise us. That's where I take it.
So you say, you'd be happy to talk to us one-on-one about what the changes here?
Well, I don't really know all the changes, Mr. Stabler. I don't know all the changes realistic, because I haven't read everything about it. I just know this is the first reading. And as we get to the second reading, more stuff will come out as what the realistic second reading is. It was just a reading to start off with, to get the process moving forward, is what it is. And so when we get more stuff in line, I'll be glad to meet with each one of you, or have a meeting beforehand. With the holidays and everything up before January 9th, it might be tough. And if we have to table it again, I'll table it again, to look at it, to make sure that you understand what we're doing moving forward. If that's what you need.
I would like to point out, Mr. Carson, that we would not exist as a commission anymore. Under these rules, it says the Rural Fire District Board would consist of 5 members, composed of 1 officer from each fire department, which I assume would be the chief or some kind of assistant.
Whoever the chief could appoint or whatever. I mean,
That's not what it says.
I don't know, I haven't read it.
Officer of the fire department.
Exactly. In other words, Ross and myself would no longer be on this
Yeah,
commission.
Ross, he's an officer. Ross does Belleville, he doesn't serve.
Okay, so I wouldn't be on this commission. Yeah, that's what everybody wants, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
that's
I just wanna say that it does make a change.
It wasn't intended to, it's not a slap at you.
I'm not taking it personally, I'm just saying that it is gonna change.
The wording for chief, for officer, it was chief officer or assistant chief. And they wanted to open it up to more people with firefighting experience and running department scene stations, so that we could get it, they could get it where they thought it needed to be. Is the way it was explained to me.
I know that, my chief, Randy Coleman at Fort Mont, I know that he would like to say, he has a few words he'd like to say if our chair will recognize that, permit him to speak. I appreciate it.
Randy, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I can. Get up here so I can put my paperwork up here. Yeah, that's great. Talk loud enough? Is that all right? Everybody here? I just about this that, Assistant Administrator went over. So it may answer some of the questions that I might ask, so help me, help me, okay? This is me, this is Chief Randy Coleman, I ain't speaking for nobody else in this room, okay? I just want y'all to know that. Okay, if somebody else wants to, whatever, but I'm speaking for me. Do I understand, or am I misunderstanding? I think I am reading, when I'm reading this, that the county is proposing to eliminate the Calhoun County Rural Fire Commission and the Sandy Ruin Fire Commission. And I can continue that question. Are y'all proposing to join the two districts into one, and form this advisory board, one advisory board for the two combined ones, or is that incorrect? I'm seeing some head shakes. Could you clarify that?
Two separate advisory boards, one countywide fire district. The existing board becomes an advisory board.
Okay, I don't have this, but,
Two separate.
so, Sandy Ruin Fire District and the Calhoun County Rural Fire District, maybe, I'm not catching that. There'll be one fire district.
Countywide fire district with two advisory boards.
Because you're gonna have one district, I'm not following that, you got one district, how we go one district, but how are we gonna have two separate entities here?
I think ultimately the desire is to have one countywide fire advisory board. But initially it would be, as proposed now, two separate advisory boards.
Okay. Okay, I think I got that for now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I correct in basically, in a nutshell here, on the advisory board versus commissions? Okay, let's just stay with the Rural Fire Commission. Right now, council appointed this fire commission to oversee and oversee the funding and the maintenance of the Calhoun County Rural Fire Commission. Okay? They didn't hire a coordinator, they left it to them to hire a coordinator. They did. So this commission hired a coordinator to help assist them in coordinating the efforts of the rural fire district. Is that sensible? Is that, okay. And do I understand that the roles are gonna be reversed here? The fire advisory board is gonna now answer to the newly countywide fire coordinator. Okay, I believe that's what I'm reading here, and I'm probably reading it wrong, apparently.
The fire advisory board is appointed by county council to advise county council and the fire district. The appointed still volunteers, because these are volunteers too,
Right.
do not answer to a fire coordinator. The difference is the fire district operations become a department of the county, just like every other department in the county, with a department head and an advisory board to set policy and make recommendations to council and the fire district on how it's operated.
Who's the department head?
The department head would be the fire coordinator.
So I think Randy's question is, currently, the fire coordinator can be hired or fired by 5 that sit on the commission. If this goes through, those 5 would no longer have the capability to hire or fire a fire coordinator. It would fall under the county administrator role. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's what he was trying to ask.
I think.
That's what you were trying to ask, correct?
I think. I'm still a little bit foggy on it, but I'm learning. That's what I'm here to do, and I appreciate the time. So hopefully, maybe, hopefully some of the same questions are on people's minds. Okay? That being said, we're not trying to, we're making one fire, I still don't know if I understand that, we're making fire district, but it's gonna be two separate entities here, basically.
That's a work in progress until you can
Okay.
combine one county fire district board.
Good luck.
I-
Okay, all right. Funding. Right now, this group presents a budget every year to county council to approve or disapprove or change, whatever. And that's been happening for the last 6 years, 7, whatever. Okay. What's gonna be the process, with the budgeting process? Could you elaborate on that? With your plan now, okay, with your proposed plan?
Same type of process, except for the fire, it's submitted a different way. Council always has to approve a budget. So the fire advisory board with the fire coordinator puts together a budget, presents it to council for approval. Earlier when I was talking about funding, that takes a little bit more time. So right now, you've got fire millage in one part of the county, you've got fire fees in another. Lost applies to both. So ultimately, we think now, we'll have to work through all the numbers, that a countywide fire millage is a better way to go. Instead of having a fire fee, a fire millage is probably a more appropriate way to fund the fire districts. It's a more equitable way to fund it.
I agree with that now.
But that's gonna take some time to get to.
What is the reason, the sure enough reason that you can explain in our layman's terms, if you can, why it's always been impossible for this rural fire district to go to a tax-based system where Sandy Run can do it, but I've talked with John about this, and I can't understand, I'm a simple country boy. Can you explain in layman's terms why we can't, say we stay just like we are. We've been like this for 6 years, but we haven't been having to live with that. I consider an unfair fire fee for the citizens, but that's the only option we got, and it's served us well, but it's not fair. Is there a reason why we couldn't have gone and still couldn't go for a millage instead of a fire fee?
No, it's a little complicated because there's an existing millage, because there's an existing Sandy Run millage. So if you do a millage across the entire unincorporated area of the county, it's fairly straightforward.
Okay.
If you don't, it requires a referendum to be put on a general election to approve what's a special tax district. And in order to do that, you've got to either have 15% of the registered electors sign a petition to council to put it on an election, or you have to have 75% of them sign a petition and council can enact it by ordinance.
Okay.
So it's not impossible, it's just
Okay.
complicated.
I understand what you're talking about, that makes sense.
If you combine them and the Sandy Run district goes away, millage goes away, and you adopt a millage across the entire county, from what our attorneys have told us, that's a much more straightforward and simple matter.
Well, that's bringing up stuff that we did 6 or 7 years ago when we created. So we tried to get everybody to come in with this district to start with. Well, with the system, okay. And of course, Sandy Run didn't want to do it. That's fine. The towns didn't want to do it for their reasons, and that was fine. So that's how this was created separately. But at that same time, if my memory serves me, and if somebody's here from Sandy Run, at that time, Sandy Run back in the early 80s, that's how they created just what you described. That just brought it to my mind. That's how they formed themselves. They did it by referendum. Mm-hmm. They were locked into that 2 mills for year, or whatever it was. I think it was 2 mills then.
Originally.
Okay? When this all was created and the Sandy Run Fire District was created, it was changed. Because I remember council dissolving that fire district and taking it and created it was an ordinance that looked very similar to ours, and y'all know it. So they could increase the millage. They were locked into that too, so they could increase it. Is that correct, or that? I know that's in the past, but I'm trying to get in my mind.
I'm not sure about the millage part, but I know they adopted an ordinance from what I've gone gone back and
Yeah,
researched
it's
an
an
ordinance
ordinance,
almost
it's very
identical.
similar, it looks similar to ours, but
Almost
it's differences,
identical, yeah.
you know. And that was just, it just boggles my mind where council could do that, and they couldn't do it for, you know, but there's legal reasons here, you know, you're
I don't
describing.
think in the ordinance, and I have not researched this, I don't think when they did the ordinance didn't affect the millage. When they
Okay.
did the
Well,
ordinance, it didn't affect the millage.
Couldn't, maybe that was it, I
To
don't
my,
know. Okay.
that's my understanding,
Alright.
but that's not an official answer, cause I haven't looked into that.
Okay, and I think this has already been asked, but I got it, so I'm gonna ask it. Are we saying, or are you saying, are you proposing that the advisory board, fire coordinator, and the fire marshal, which I agree with, I'm gonna tell you that up front, I'll say that later. I think the fire marshal can, whatever happens, can fall under you guys. And be at our disposal to help us on fire scenes or whatever. Are you saying the advisory board, there'll be two of them, sounds like, in this proposal, the one fire coordinator and the fire marshal, obviously, will report directly to the administrator?
No, sir.
Okay,
The advisory
Clarify
board,
that.
the advisory board is appointed by council and advises council. They serve at the pleasure of council, just like the members do today. The county administration doesn't oversee any appointed board or commission. Whether it's the planning commission, the zoning board of appeals, construction board of appeals, none of those, they answer to council.
yeah. Okay, so council will be, under this proposal, council will be more involved in the operation of this than they are now?
Yes, sir.
And they're okay with that? Council okay with that?
I can speak only for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a lot of work.
I'd like to know what's going on, and to be quite honest with you, from a budget perspective, and a financial perspective, I mean,
Well, I
that's
don't
that's
wanna
where
put
I'm
you on the
at,
spot
I mean,
at all.
with it, so.
We've got a subcommittee of,
Yeah.
Councilman Carson and Thornton, so that they're gonna be more involved.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay. Cause right now, the county appointed this commission and appointed the Sandy Run Commission, and they don't bother county council, really. I mean, every once in a while, I don't know if y'all have ever had to contact county council. That I'm aware of, you haven't. Other than giving them a budget every year. But anyway, I mean, that's just things I wanna ask and just clarify, if you don't mind. All right, the rest, these are my thoughts, okay? These are Chief Coleman's thoughts. Not even Chief Coleman, these are Randy Coleman's thoughts. And I would appreciate you just listening. Before this district that we're talking about right now, the Calhoun County Fire District was created in 2014. The then Calhoun County Fire Commission, which is the one that y'all were talking about last night, needs to be resolved. I thought it was resolved 7 years ago. Along with county council and along with the county administrator at that time, looked at multiple options before setting this district up the way it is now. I mean, and I'm gonna tell you, we spent a year, Cecil back there? He's not back there. Cecil's on a committee like Richard's on. John Nelson was kinda on it, and it was Lee and myself as the chairman of that commission. We looked at Lexington County, Richland County, Bamberg County, Orangeburg County, and several others that I cannot remember. Trying to get ideas on how to, because the same motivation, I hope, back then is what this is to try to help us, because we just didn't have money. I mean, we were living off chicken barbecues and stuff, okay? So we all agreed that the Orangeburg County plan suited Calhoun County better than anything else, okay? And the main thing is, we all agreed, let's don't try to reinvent the wheel. Let's find us something that we can modify to suit us. Orangeburg County was it. Everybody in that group agreed that Orangeburg County was what we wanted to do, with just a few modifications. This system we operate under now just about mirrors that system over there. I double checked on it, to make sure they hadn't changed yesterday. They're operating almost identical to the way the rural fire commission is operating, okay? Just bigger, almost, okay? This system, has been used over there for 23 years. This system that we're under right now. Working well. If it's not working well, they haven't been telling me the truth, okay? The Orangeburg County Fire District was created just like we were. Council created the district by ordinance, just like us. They appointed a fire commission to oversee the funding and maintenance of the districts, just like ours. All the fire departments in Orangeburg County, towns, cities, rural fire departments, they were all invited to come aboard on that thing. Well, just like we're having meetings here, there was several of the towns, several of the rural fire departments didn't want to do it. The town of Santee didn't want to do it. The city of Orangeburg didn't want to do it. But it didn't take but a couple of years, probably two or three years, then the whole county, including the small towns, came under the system and been living on it ever since. The only two that are not part of the Orangeburg County Fire District, and forgive me for referencing them because we've almost mirrored them, is the city of Orangeburg and the town of Santee. Okay, those are the only two that I'm aware of, that I'm told from Orangeburg County, that are not under the system. Okay? Just like we do, the town of Santee contracts with the Calhoun, the Orangeburg County Fire District to cover the area out of the Santee town limits up to the 5-mile road limit that we all are aware of in the fire service. They contract with the Orangeburg County Fire District. Orangeburg County does the same thing. They contract with the district, just like we do with the town of St. Matthews and we do with the town of Cameron. Okay? Quite frankly, this system has worked for us for over 6+ years, and that's where we're at here. It's working, and it's worked well. We have we've worked with county council and working with county council, these folks, and we got 9 brand new tankers in the county. Isn't it 9, Jeff? Right. 9. One of them was a grant truck, but we bought 8 trucks. Never could have done that if we didn't have a partnership with the county. All right. We have standardized through the commission and through their coordinator. They have standardized the purchasing of all of our SCBAs. We're now all in my aware, we're all in the same SCBAs. Saved us thousands of dollars there buying the same thing. Okay, thousands of dollars. We utilize the same common pump test provider. Now this is in the district. I'm not talking about out in the district. Okay, we don't. This group can't be concerned without the district. They standardized that. They standardized the pump test, the hose test. Same guy does it all, and he can save money, especially on hose tests. When you miles and miles and miles of hose, they give us a good deal. Okay. I'm wondering what's wrong with the way we set up now. Okay, and I'd like some feedback there. Maybe that ain't wrong. Maybe it's just that you think there's a better way. Okay, and we can be positive instead of negative, instead of the wrong thing. Our operating budgets, that there's 2 sides of the budget in the district, and I'm not a budget expert, but I helped put that thing together originally. We have a set of money aside for operating funds that each department gets yearly to just do for their day-to-day operations, okay? And then we have the bigger part of the budget that pays the big stuff, the insurance and all the big stuff, okay? I'm not gonna list it, but there's two separate parts of that budget. And, we took a formula from Orangeburg County, We took this whole thing from Orangeburg County. There's a spreadsheet that they use to decide how departments get the part of that little money set aside for the operating budgets, okay? I've got a copy of it. When Jeff took over from when I was the chairman, I gave Jeff, and I think I gave the commission, I know I gave it to Jeff, and that's how we were, I'm sorry,
I still got it.
okay? That's how we set up the original, who gets what out of that pot of money, okay? That pot of money set aside for operating budgets, okay? I'm hearing, now y'all help me here, I'm hearing that there's some complaints about disparity in how that part of the money is being distributed, unless I'm getting the wires crossed here. These guys put that budget together every year, has for 6 years now, or 7 years. They vote on it, they approve it, they send it to county council, it's approved. Is that something y'all perceive that's not fair? Or is it something that somebody's complaining, or somebody told you it wasn't fair, or am I off on that?
I don't have any knowledge about anybody
Okay.
complaining about anything being unfair.
Under the new plan, the operating budgets will go under the same formula.
Well, I guess, is there an answer to that question, or that's just not an issue? I mean, is it somebody didn't complain?
Well, I think it's collective, honestly, Randy. I think it's a number of things that we wanna look at to do better overall in the county. Get more, the standardization that your guys are getting and have done is certainly what we've gotta look at countywide. But there are a lot of things that we can look at that will help reduce cost. It will bring things under the procurement, and that's a big piece of this whole equation, is making sure that we are legally doing what we need to be doing. We're following the procurement policies, the thresholds that are actually set. We need to follow those thresholds. So I think it's a number of things that would benefit from it.
Okay. Okay. Right now, we don't, unless I'm totally confused and Lee and I got crossed up when this thing was built and commission we're not a county agency, we're a special purpose tax district, okay? You're shaking your head, one's shaking this, one's shaking that,
Sandy Run is a special purpose tax district, you are not.
okay?
Are we considered a county agency, as we are now?
You're a board of the county agency that's approved by county council.
How about the fire departments? Not board here, but the departments.
No.
I don't know the legal answer to that. I'll have to get you the answer on that. You act as an agent of the county. That's why you're covered under the county's umbrella. So when you respond to a fire, you do anything, you, as volunteers, are acting on behalf of the county. It's a service provided by the county. As far as whether you're called a county agency, that's a legal opinion that I don't know the answer to.
I mean, I raise that question because as of now, we don't directly report to John as county administrator, but under the new system, the fire coordinator is gonna make pretty much all the decisions under the leadership of John, if I'm reading this correctly?
No,
Am I wrong?
you'll advise,
I won't be on this.
okay, the board will advise on the county council on what to do, okay, recommend on what to do. That will come from Jeff to county council and administration, just like all departments do now, okay? They will report to either me or Richard. We divide up the departments throughout the county as a direct report. But ultimately, it will be the coordinator's position as what we call a coordinator or a department head. And that's the way it's been done in this ordinance that you see with Florence and a number of the other ones as
So
well.
this board, if they have a disagreement with the coordinator, how's that handled?
county council.
That would be a lot of involvement with the council if there's not
Well, they're the ones that, county council will be the ones appointing the board members too.
so every time there's a disagreement, they'll have to come before council.
Yes, ma'am. If
That was where I was coming from with the way we set up now. That's what council wanted to do originally. They wanted to, I remember, God bless his soul, King David, I remember Lee Prickett, and I shouldn't be saying that way, but I mean, I affectionately call him that all the time, so I'm gonna continue to do it. That we don't want to be involved in the fire service. That's what we want y'all to do.
That's right.
And that's a big kicking point right now, okay? Just what we're talking about. I think council is gonna be overwhelmed with fire service jargon that they don't understand. But anyway, I'm still up in the air here, okay? All right, I wanna make sure. Just give me you say somebody's working on drafting this ordinance now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Randy, if I can, on the first page of the handout that everybody got, look at number 3, first page. All expenditures other than operating expenses. That tells you right there, you're still gonna get your operating expenses.
Well, I'm not concerned about it. I mean, my concern was, I've got rumblings that there's somebody complaining that how we're doing it now, or the money that's being distributed to, obviously Midway is not gonna get as much as Fort Mott. We got 4 freaking stations, you know? But I mean, if somebody's bringing it up now, I mean, we're still under this system, let's, try to fix it. I mean, or address
That's the
it.
first I've heard of that.
Me too.
Okay, well, that's okay. That's okay. I misunderstood the rumblings I heard then. How about that?
Me speaking is for Midway, since you brought it up, that ain't the.
No, it wasn't Midway. It wasn't any department. I'm just using you, because I mean, obviously you get less than we do, but,
Correct.
you know.
And there's a reason for that.
There's a reason for that.
That's right.
Okay, you did. Okay. All right, now, this is what Randy Coleman speaking. I will support, and I wasn't, y'all have clarified me on the 2 district things. I will personally support combination of these 2 fire districts. And I'm telling you up front, that's Randy Coleman. That's not Fort Mott Fire Department, it's Randy Coleman. This will have to be worked out delicately between the participants. We tried it before, just didn't work out. Everybody's gonna have to have equal input. This group and their group and y'all, if you want that to happen. I think it would benefit all the citizens of the county. That's just my personal opinion, okay? If we do combine, I do support establishing a new fire commission. I'm not fully on board with this. It sounds like we're swapping. The advisory board would advise the coordinator instead of the coordinator advising the fire commission. That's what it sounds like, but this is what it sounds like. I am supportive, if we do combine, having 1 fire commission for the 2, obviously, it's to be 1 district then. I mean, if they do not combine, I support maintaining the current organizational structure with 2 separate fire commissions overseeing funding of needs, basically keeping it like it is. Now we can tweak what we do here. We can always improve. I think all of us need a little tweaking here in the way we do our business, and we're going to that a little bit later. But I don't think this is my opinion. I don't think the minor details that we have is worth abandoning the whole system right now. My opinion. It has worked pretty dang good for us for the last 6 years. Okay, right now, with the knowledge that I'm getting And y'all got to help me on, y'all have to help, you know, I'm just me. I'm still a little confused on that two-district thing, but right now, I don't feel like I can support doing away with these fire commissions, and the way we operate, and forming an advisory board advising a coordinator and administration. I think that's actually, I think it's opposite of what we're doing now, but you know, maybe it'll clear up as other people ask questions. I do support county at y'all's level hiring a fire marshal. Totally think we've been needing that for a long time. Fire marshal now, fire marshal. Whole different job description, say like Jeff's got as a rural fire commission. Different job description. But it would take obviously a potload of work and put it where it belongs with a fire marshal. He or she could assist us in fire investigations tremendously with the right training, and you get the right person in there. Like I say, this position is not a fire coordinator, it's a fire marshal. And that's all I have pertaining to this proposal that, you know, you guys have got for us. I think I'm still foggy on the one district, two, I'm still foggy on that. I'm sorry?
How would that work with two different commissions?
Well, I mean, I think they're trying to do a good job explaining, I'm just probably too stupid to understand it.
Randy, I think this probably, and I know myself, I would like to sit down and, you know, digest this a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah,
And actually have
this is good,
you know, have a meeting to come up with any kind of, you know, answers for questions that I may have, you know, prior to this thing being read. You know, and maybe tweak this, you know, possibly. I know I'm for that, and I would suggest that we, you know, all the chiefs, you know, be invited to a meeting. Unfortunately, you know, we in the Christmas season, it's kinda hard to get everybody together. You know, I don't see it happening until after the first of the year.
Well, does it need to be rushed?
I can't answer that question.
I don't see why it needs to be rushed. I would just like to see more input from our chiefs and our people who've had a lot of experience. This really is changing our fire service and the way it's gonna be run and who's gonna run it. So I think that our volunteers and our chiefs and our commission need to be involved in these decisions.
If I'm not mistaken, so last night at the council meeting, it's a introduction, is reading by title only. And is that, the reading by title only, that's just to open the process, and then following the reading by title only is when we have the opportunity to get these explanations and have the meetings to get the questions, right?
That's correct.
So I know it was a lot of,
You've got 2 weeks prior to the second, 2 weeks prior to the third.
okay, so I know it was a lot of confusion and hesitation and, fear nonetheless, coming into this thing because people saw it on the agenda and flipped out because they weren't sure what was the next step. So by just reading the title, it's introducing us to a new proposal, and then after they've introduced it, now it's opened up to us, then we'll have these meetings like we are now to get more explanation and kind of dissect the process and, configure it to the best way we can.
I mean, will the council and administration agree to work with the existing fire commission and our chiefs to come to an agreement on what we think everyone can agree with what, you know, what will work best for the county?
That's what we're here for, and yeah, we want you to take that back and revise it how you see fit. Absolutely.
I think, you know, without spending 5 hours on this thing, you know, I think we really need to move on a little bit. And, you know, just being known that, okay, yes, we are gonna start a dialogue in between us and council. You know, that definitely needs to happen in my opinion.
mind if I ask a couple of these questions that we had talked about real quick? Can I ask you a couple of these questions?
Perfect, thank you.
Randy, are you done?
Or not? I've got something for just the fire commission, but that, maybe this ain't appropriate time, just need to advise y'all on some information. I can wait till new business or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do that, let's do that.
I won't take your spot, but you done. So, a couple questions on this, couple things. Fire fee, the $80 fire fee right now. I think honestly, and this is one of the things you and I talked about, was if we could go to a flat millage rate, it would probably be the best thing ever for this county. The fact of the matter is, the $80 fire fee is probably the most unfair thing we do in this county. You've got somebody with a $2,000 mobile home paying the same $80 that you got somebody that lives on the golf course in a $500,000 mansion paying for the exact same fire fee. It's terribly, terribly unfair.
Yep.
Couple questions that brings up though. Is the industry and the people that pay fee in lieu of going to pay the same fee in lieu of, and will they be subject to the millage rate that will apply? Yes or no?
They will be subject to the millage rate, yes.
Okay, so their fee in lieu of, they have pre-negotiated, it's a flat fee.
Oh, no, not the existing ones now.
That's what I'm asking.
No, I was
So
thinking you mean
all
that
of the
new.
industry that's already in the county that has a pre-negotiated
That's
fee
right.
in lieu of would not contribute anything towards the fire service.
Anything additional? No, no.
Well, so if they're already have a fee in lieu of negotiated, and we do not have a millage rate, how is there a millage rate negotiated in there? That's my question.
Okay.
And that's what, these are legitimate questions. We're trying to get answers because, for example, if you've got, I'm trying to pick somebody that's not in Sandy Run, that's not in that district. I mean, you know all the fee in lieu ofs in this county. Who's somebody that has a fee in lieu of in the rural part of the county that's not in Sandy Run?
Yeah, solar farms or
Solar farms.
WNC Steel.
Okay, so these solar farms that currently do not have a fee in lieu of, they pay a fire fee. If we go to this, you can't negotiate or renegotiate your fee in lieu of, so are they exempt from paying any fire service fee?
I will look into that. I mean, ultimately, they have a fire service, okay? They do, if they don't have their own, but I'll be glad to look into that.
Well, I
and
mean,
get
that's
you
a
an answer.
legitimate question.
It is,
We
and
need
that's
to-
a question that would have been good to be posed prior to this meeting if you want to answer it, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
But we're not at that point yet. So
No.
that's what I said earlier. We still have to work out all on whether or not, we believe that the tax millage is the most equitable way to fund fire service. Like you said.
I don't
we
disagree
agree.
with you 100%. I agree with
But
you.
it's gonna take some time for us to work out with tax attorneys and everything else, what the final.
The total
funding
impact
strategy
I
would
is.
agree.
be,
I
yeah.
think the better thing though, instead of trying to rush this thing, would have been to talk to these 5 and Jeff and allow these 6 to sit down with Richard and Cecil and try to hash out some rough boundaries before it got brought to this point that everybody got this stirred up, because this did bring a lot of questions up. You know, are you gonna put on ag buildings a millage rate? Because right now, ag buildings are getting hit with the fee in lieu of this year, which there's a little question on whether that was legal or not because of the law that just passed. So there's already lawyers looking into the fact that we just hit all these ag buildings with $80 fire fees after the state just passed a law saying you couldn't tax. So we pulled the tax off, but we still hit them with a fire fee. So if the ag buildings are now exempt, are we gonna how are you gonna tax ag buildings? Because you can't put a millage rate on an ag building. So are they just not gonna pay anything, where right now they're getting hit with a fire fee?
We don't have the answers to that yet because we haven't
Okay.
got there.
Let's put it on council then.
And that's why I'm asking these questions, because maybe these are things y'all have thought about, maybe these are things you hadn't thought about yet.
And
To
that's why we
ask
have these
these-
meetings.
Questions, and that's why these gentlemen and this young lady knows, and they're experts, they could work with Richard and with Cecil to bring this stuff up, but nobody even talked to them or consulted them until they got blindsided by this.
I think Councilman Carson already addressed that.
Okay, so the other question, if this gets brought under the county, and now these volunteers are I guess technically whether they become a department of the county or not a department of the county is a legal issue. Will the volunteer firefighters, if they are injured on a fire, be subject to county workman's comp?
They already are.
Okay,
It's
okay.
already covered.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. That's the biggest thing. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Let's move on to, old business, burn building.
The concrete at the burn building has been poured. I'm in the process now of talking with 3 different people about stacking containers. Ross, Greg, several of the people that was on the old committee for the training center have gotten together and come up with how they want to stack, what we're gonna do. Hopefully, within next week, we'll start stacking the containers on the building, on the pad. And Cody is working on getting the driveway out there, going to be working on getting the driveway out there. In good working order. Chief Salmon is gonna bring the ladder truck to St. Matthews out there tomorrow. And put me up above some of the limbs so we can trim that off.
Not holding,
Final grading will be done by Cody, which is the county department, over the next few days. And won't be long, we'll be ready to go.
not putting you on the hot seat, and by all means, I'm not holding you to a date, but you got a projected date when everything might be get done.
Hopefully 1st of January, no later than middle of January.
Cool.
Trying to get it ready for 1156 class.
That's excellent.
Okay, good
That's
job,
Good job, Jeff.
thank you.
Appreciate that.
It's been a pain in the behind trying to find somebody that actually pour the concrete for. I formed it, county employees got out there and did the fine grading and putting the pad up, but trying to find somebody to pour concrete this day and time is.
Nobody wanna work. Anything else on that?
That's pretty much it.
Door opener.
All the door openers except for Belleville has been installed. I'm getting new quotes on that to see if I can get better prices.
Pump test.
All pump tests for all of the county and towns have been done. The only one I'm aware of not passing was Jumper Station's Engine 82. I've been in contact with people from Carolina Truck Services. I've gotten them engine numbers and governor numbers off of that truck. The guy that pump tested it said he thought it was a governor issue with the Caterpillar engine. He said he's seen that multiple times before. The guy's doing some research, he's gonna get back to me. If he doesn't think he can fix it, he's gonna put me in touch with somebody at Blanchard Cat that knows more about that situation than he does.
Is that there on the end?
It will pump when you're dumping water from the tank to the pump. It'll pump as hard as it's supposed to, do what it's supposed to. When you're pumping water, trying to draw a draft and pump water, the governor will not immediately go up to the speed it's supposed to. If you get it there, you get it flowing water through the draft, and you start pumping water, it will pump it. If you open it up, the throttle up, it will not get to where it's supposed to immediately. It'll eventually sit there, you let it run 5-10 minutes, and it'll eventually keep climbing off PMs and getting to where it's supposed to be.
I got it.
But you can't take that kind of time to have the pump test.
Any more old business? All right, let's move to new business. Fund balance.
first of all, whether you wanna put Randy's truck thing in here.
That's new business, so it'll be coming up.
I thought that was where we're starting on the new business.
Yeah. Start a fund balance.
Okay.
We'll get it. Any updates on the fund balance?
John, Richard Carson, y'all wanna answer that?
Richard, you wanna handle that? You presented to council.
I don't know the exact numbers off my head. It was 197,000, I believe. And it's, when we get the money, we're gonna look at putting some of it in there, into the account this year. And then we might have to go into next year, which would be past June the 30th, to come up with the rest of the amount. So we're looking at putting maybe $100,000 in there. Like I told you earlier, as far as the budget's not going, the money, that's something I'm learning about. But hopefully we'll have $100,000 in the budget we can put into this year, in this budget year. And then after June the 30th, we'll be able to have the other $97,000 back into that account. So it will be budgeted. I'll look at you to tell you it will be budgeted for next year. All will be back in that account.
Good, thank you.
Now, before we go anywhere else, let's talk about Randy's truck.
Randy, you wanted to bring something up
I
about?
can brief y'all on the truck purchase,
Please.
okay? I just need to advise you guys, which I already have, that the Fort Mott Fire Department, unofficially I have, this official, have been approved for an AFG grant for $416,500 for a new pumper, okay? We're proud of that, okay?
Should be.
The district and council has already approved, the district through, with their budgeting process, and approved by council with their approval of y'all's budget, has already approved the 5% matching fund that I'm told by Jeff that it has been approved and it's the 5% matching part of that has already been approved and sitting somewhere to be used if necessary. Am I correct on that? Jeff?
Yes, on your finance sheets,
Well, I'm not looking at it anyway.
under 7610, we budgeted $20,000 last year for grant match. Won't quite cover it, but we've got money in other categories that we're not using, we can definitely cover the
Okay.
other couple thousand.
All right, just so y'all know, the bid request, y'all all bought trucks before, y'all know what this is. It's a headache, but we've already went through that, got the truck spec'd out, with input from Jeff, James Brown. When I put this thing together, James was still on the fire commission, that's why he wasn't. Anyway, I got input from other county fire departments, so we're trying to standardize what we hopefully maybe can buy some more of these things sometime down the road. I don't know how in the world we're gonna do it with the price they are, but anyway, the bids are out, they're due back on the 21st of December, okay? I am told by the, truck salesman who helped me spec this truck out, which you always get, that's not unusual to get a truck salesman to do that. And he told me up front, he said this 416.5 is not gonna be enough to buy this truck that we estimated last year this time. It takes a year for all this to happen. And I will tell you, when he and I were talking, a year ago, getting estimates, I said, Mr., I don't wanna call names, but, you think this is gonna be enough next year this time? Cause he knew, I knew it takes a year to get this done. He said, should be enough. But he doesn't have a crystal ball. I'm not blaming him, okay? He did explain, and he showed me on paper the 3 price increases that have been incurred in the truck manufacturing industry this past year. A couple of them are like 7 or 8% apiece, and one of them was 20%. I mean, the numbers add up. He's not telling me what this truck he's gonna bid on. He's gonna bid on the truck, but he told me this is not gonna be nearly enough. I believe him. But we will see. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Hopefully it'll come back to 416.5. But I'm just giving y'all a heads up that it probably won't. We won't know until I get them bids back on the 21st. And after that, you know, it takes negotiation. If you bought trucks before, it ain't gonna happen on the 21st or 22nd, okay? So as soon as I can get y'all sure enough, this is what this truck's gonna cost, I will let y'all know. Do you want me to wait till the next meeting, or y'all want me to email y'all? Or how y'all want me to handle that? Because it may happen over the Christmas holidays. Probably not, but if it does, you want me to wait till the next meeting? I am afraid of another price increase.
Right.
But
So,
get that to us as soon as you get it, so we can go ahead and start thinking of ideas of before we're gonna get that done.
well, I got some, that's what we fix to talk about now. This is just a heads up. I wanna advise y'all that my responsibility with my contract with y'all at Fort Myer Fire Department is to make no capital expenditures or incur any long-term debt utilizing my operational funds, which is that pot that we get to run our day-to-day operations without prior consent from y'all guys. That's exactly what, to make no capital expenditure or incur any long-term debt utilizing our operational funds without the prior written consent of the commission. Okay, that's probably something we all ought to read there, okay? We're not supposed to incur any debt with our, without letting y'all know, okay? It don't say let the county council know, it says let y'all know. So I've done that a year ago. I told you my intent was to put in for a grant, y'all budgeted 5% of it, so, we did our job there, okay? Okay, but anyways. Now, a good option, we've already been talking amongst ourselves about options to fund this thing, the rest of it, whatever it might be. Be advised, I have $396,000 and some change, I don't have the exact amount here, at my disposal because of the grant right now. All I got to do is send them an invoice, write up a statement why I want the money, and they can give me up to 50% of that 396 anytime. The plan is to purchase the chassis up front, because you can save 3 to 4% on the bidded price by doing that, okay? So I'm gonna use whatever the chassis is, I'm guessing 125 or so, I don't know. I'm gonna take that and buy the chassis, okay? I'm told by all, in conversations, they've been calling me, asking questions about the bids, nobody's gonna deliver this truck this fiscal year. Okay, we're gonna be lucky to get it next fiscal year. In other words, when I make that chassis payment, nothing will be due and the truck is delivered to us at Fort Myer. Okay, that's when payments due. So, it ain't gonna be this fiscal year. However that affects anything, okay? It's gonna be next, a minimum of next fiscal year, okay? And depends on who gets the bid, it may be into the next fiscal year. Everybody's doing, that ain't odd, that's the way it is right now, okay? Another option that we used years ago before this organization was created and we were still doing chicken barbecues and raffles to raise money and taking donations, we needed a truck. We've already got one grant truck in 2006. This is our second one. We're blessed, okay? But 2 years later, we had a truck that was pretty much, the wheels were about to fall off of it. I went to my board chairman, he's sitting right there, and we got to do something. And there was, we didn't have this to come to. So I called the truck manufacturer. I said, give me some option. How can we do this when we ain't got no money? He said, call this guy, Commercial Fire Apparatus Leasing and Purchasing. I think is the name of it. I might be wrong on that. And anyway, I did. Long story short, we bought that truck outright, paid for it, yearly payments, $20,000 or $21,000 a year. That was on about $200,000 at that time. That same truck that's the same truck we ordered. So it's going from 2 to 416. about $21,000 a year for 10 years. And that didn't, we handled that with our chicken and barbecues and our raffles. I mean, we did, okay, and the donations. So that is another option that, I've called the same salesman's still there. I just happen to remember his name. I called him today, he said, it's a great option for you if you wanna use it. Of course, they charge interest. It's not free. Interest rate's running 5%, he said. He said, depends on how many years you go, they 4.8, 5%. And he gave me, he sent me a loan calculator, estimate thing to figure out the payments. If we do, we can't talk numbers, but I don't have numbers to talk, you know? I really don't have numbers to talk. But we borrowed $200,000, well, we leased purchased that truck $200,000, and the payments were $21,500 for 10 years. So, and the interest rates were more then, I believe, than they are now. So, gives you an idea. That's an option. We can make little mini payments if we have to. You know, that's just something, another option to look at. Okay. And again, none of this has to start until the truck is delivered next fiscal year or possibly the following fiscal year. Is that making any sense?
But Randy,
And that gives
Yes.
us time.
I'm sorry.
I think that you had, your concern was that before you sign your name on the dotted line and order this truck, you just wanna know that funding is gonna be there.
Yeah, I know I can't have, say it's 100, say it's 50, whatever, I can't have that in my pocket when one of us signs that contract to buy that truck, okay? But something, a vote, or some kind of plan that's in place before we order that truck. I mean, you know, nobody wants to, I mean, that would be ludicrous, I think, to order a truck, we not know how we gonna, I mean, we know we're probably not gonna let that truck get by,
Right.
but we need a plan, you know? And we got time, we don't have to do that right now, but I'm just saying, cause I can't do it now, cause I don't know what the mine is, what is it?
So we can't let it go.
No, I mean, that'd be ludicrous to let $416,000 go, or $396.
Would it reassure you if we as a commission vote that when this word it in such a way that when this happens, that we will make sure.
And y'all may have to do some negotiating on the county side. You know, I mean,
Let's
depends
see
on how
what-
much
let's see
y'all
what
got
the
the money
money is.
available. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just giving y'all a heads up
Right.
that we probably gonna need some more money. We're gonna try to keep it as low as we can. I've already cut the truck back as much as I really can cut the truck back. Jeff was at one of the spec meetings with me. And, we've cut the truck back as much as I really need to cut it back and still have a viable operating truck. Yes, sir.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you feel comfortable enough at this point to go ahead and order this truck? Or do you
Now?
whenever the bids come back?
No, I do not.
So what do you need from us to get you to that comfort level?
Just have a plan and have a voted on plan, and how we can come up with the extra money. I mean, that's all we can, y'all not gonna give Larry whatever it is, you know, I mean, we're gonna have to go on some sort of vote, just like council works like that. I mean, some kind of written plan that how we gonna pay for the truck, and I think we would feel comfortable, wouldn't we, Larry? Okay.
And I know in an ordinary year, it might not be that big of a deal, but with these price increases jumping so quickly, time is.
Well, my
time
plan
is important.
is to have a decision sometime in January. Because the gut feeling from that particular salesman was try to do it before the end of January. Cause they always like that January 1st price increase. He said, no, they don't look at one, but he said by the end of January, you know, he said, of course that could be salesman talking too.
Right.
Okay? You know, you try to weigh what's going on, but you wanna do it as quick as possible, because, we don't wanna drag it out. We don't wanna drag our part out, and I should be ready sometime in January. Cause we gotta look at the bids, ain't gonna do nothing over Christmas holidays, I mean, it just ain't gonna happen.
So we could consult with ourselves or with Jeff or
Yep.
with county, whatever we need to do, and kind of make a plan on where this shortfall is gonna
It'll be on the agenda for the next commission meeting. In the meantime, I will talk to Richard, John, and county council about any help they may be able to offer. Our fund balance, we've got that to work off of. We can't let this go.
Oh, no, I don't think anybody
The
can
next
think.
commission meeting, we'll have Randy a definite answer.
I think first step is, Randy, as soon as you get that bid information back, let us know, and we know what kind of figure we looking at to start with.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, it really
And
is.
we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Don't forget this option about leasing,
Right.
because that was a good one for us when we just didn't have the money, and we had to have a truck. And, so,
These kind of
yes,
things-
there's interest involved, okay, and there may be other options that I don't, I don't know, when you get their level involved, there's options I could not even dream of, probably, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, just, soon as I get them back, and, there's a time frame there, you still got to do some negotiating, okay?
Right.
We always do, try to get the price down, even from even from the bidder that we wanna go with.
Right.
We try to work with them, try to get the price down a little bit, so, y'all know what I know, okay?
Well, that helps me know what kind of ballpark we're talking
Yeah. Sorry it didn't, the 416 didn't work. If Belleville would've got it, Belleville matched my grant, same thing. If they would've got it, we've been 2 times this. But that would still been a benefit, that's still been a gift,
Right.
Christmas
Right.
present,
Right.
Sorry they didn't get it. I think Town of St. Matthew did the same thing. They didn't get it either. So, anyway, thank y'all.
No,
Thank you.
congratulations on getting that grant for Fort Mott, because I know you put a lot of work and a lot of personal time and effort into getting this grant, so good
Yeah,
job.
well, right now, that seems to be the easy part. This is the hard part, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
we'll make it, it'll work out. It'll work out somehow now. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I think we have had the update and explanation of the county ordinance already
Yes,
explored enough.
yeah.
Is there anything else under new business?
Well, are we gonna do the executive session, or we, I thought we were gonna do like an employee, remember what I brought last time?
That's part of the executive session.
And then we're gonna go into,
We gotta get on to this session first.
okay, well, we know if we're still doing that or not.
That's why, is there any other new business? If not, I think we need to adjourn and go to executive session. Do I hear a motion?
Well, maybe we need
I got a motion on the table to adjourn and go into executive session. All those in favor? Aye.